Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patti, the voice of Myself Wellness, along with my co-hosts Christina Thomas and Jamie Veneziale. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and struggled to find lasting healing. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the Myself Wellness Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Myself Wellness Podcast. Today on the show, we have Joe Pavich. Joe is a local Southwest Florida celebrity. I see his face on all the billboards.
Everywhere.
He has like 3 billboards, right? Yeah. He is ranked number 1 real estate agent in Realty World, and he has sold over $1.9 billion in real estate. What's your secret to success?
It's hard to believe, it's day by day. You kind of start off in your career young, and I've been doing it for 24 years. If you would have told me then I would have sold that much, I wouldn't have believed you. But it's like a snowball. It starts off small, gets a little bit bigger. Sometimes it breaks and goes back down to nothing, right? Snow. But, over the years, it's just doing the right thing on every deal. Still marketing even in bad times. Like right now, it's not the greatest time in real estate, but the goal is to market, do as best you can through all markets. Then when the market drops, you got to pick up the pace a little bit. You got to spend more money in marketing when the checks aren't coming in like they were. So it's a process. I feel like I have it down now for sure.
Do the billboards work? We've always wondered.
Billboards?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
I love that. I love the billboard thing. Listen, I was on Joe's show recently, and we were spending the day together, and then all of a sudden we were going to an event that night, which was that party. And all of a sudden I look up and there's Joe on the billboard, and I'm like, hey, I'm like with him earlier today, and now he's on the billboard. And then we roll up to the party, and then Joe's standing there. It was like just all day long, Joe. It was perfect.
I was talking to a guy today on the way. He said, I see your billboard right here. I said, well, I have a camera on the billboard, and I just saw you drive by it. You're wearing a nice collared shirt. But real estate's fun, though. I've been doing it so long, I kind of know what it takes to get it done. And you just keep doing what you're doing. But branding and everything, I was always scared to not brand, get more billboards up. I have more than 3 now. I've actually picked up 2 more. But it's all about branding, even in bad times. And it's hard to do, right? It's hard to keep spending when the market's down. But when I was younger, I would see a lot of realtors that had their names everywhere, on buses and on the full spread in the paper. And then a couple of years later, I wouldn't see them anymore at all. And it kind of scared me a little bit that, once people get complacent and they think they're going to have it forever, people are right behind you, right? They're right behind you. So as soon as you slow down, it's like a race.
No,
they go right around you.
Listen, I have a PR background, and I used to always say to people, like, even from a personal branding standpoint, or just for like branding for your company or whatever, you can have the best service or product in the world, but if you're not consistently putting it out there for people to see, nobody's not going to know about it.
That's right.
Word of mouth will take you so far, and it's like you were talking about earlier with having a good reputation and doing right by people and things like that. But like, if you're not putting yourself out there, you're missing the ball.
100%. That's what it's all about. And it goes so far beyond that, because if you have listings out there, which I do typically carry quite a bit of listings, some sell right away and some don't. And it's the ones that don't sell that you have to keep pushing more, and more postcards, more social media, doing something special for each person, kind of keeping in touch. And it's not the easiest thing, because some sellers don't want to sell. They have this beautiful home, and the home, they won't let it sell. I had an interesting conversation last week with someone, and they've had the house listed for a long time. You can look at a listing and you can see the history of how many agents have had the listing. So seller calls me, and I look at this history, and it's listed by like 5, 6 agents, 30 days at a time, 20, 10, 6 months. So I'm looking at the history. I'm thinking, I wonder if this might be a little bit of a difficult seller, because they just keep firing people because they want to sort of control the process. So I had the house listed for about 6 months. I was the longest, 6 months, 6 months listing. And they didn't want to move at all. The price was high. I was I had 20 showings. Everybody said it's priced too high. And I kept telling him that. And he didn't want to hear that. And every time I'd call him, I was afraid to tell him that. And finally I said, listen, I said, it's just, you don't want the home to sell. I said, you get this beautiful home. And I said, you're not living there. Everybody thinks it's overpriced. So let's work together. He would not do that. So I said to him, I said, you know, your house wants a new family in there. They want to be loved. It wants to be loved. It wants to have this new family move in. It wants to love a family. It wants a family to love it. And I said, you're not letting that happen. You're blocking that from happening. It's you, not your house. And you know, he kind of got to his heart a little bit. And we didn't get it sold. I mean, they ended up going with somebody else. But I mean, that's the kind of conversations you have to have with people, because it's not always the home. It's the seller. They want to be reasonable. So we get those stories throughout our career, you know, and sometimes it's in bad markets and sometimes it's in great markets. But, you know, hey, it's all fun. You gotta love what you do, right?
For
like
sure.
you guys.
For sure.
Love what you do.
So you're you know, obviously put together incredibly well, you know, and you're, you know, you show up and you suit up and you put good like energy out, which makes people like working with you, refer you more business. What else do you do because we talk about this kind of stuff on the show? What do you do to keep yourself at the best version of yourself? You know, so it's like,
Self-care tips.
Self-care tips.
Yeah.
I mean, and it could be anywhere from like, you know, like going to the gym or meditating.
Sure,
Like what's your routine look like?
Well, you know, it's all about, you know, a routine. Really, the morning routine is where it all begins. I'm up early, 5 o'clock goes off, alarm, boom.
Except for this morning.
Except for this morning, which I told you the story. Today wasn't the easiest day. I had a little glitch. But 5 o'clock in the morning, coffee on the road, in the gym early at 5:30. I leave the gym at, you know, pretty early, come home and I start knocking on doors. Kids, get up, let's go. And it's like that every day. And I try to start my morning off positive. That's why when you are on my show, I feel like I'm talking to myself, because you're very regimented and that's what it's all about. But some days you get curveballs early. Some days you put the news on and you watch the news and it wants to bring you down. I just change the channel. We're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about stuff later. We need to get this day going right. So I try to, you know, really push the family to think like that. Doesn't always work, you know.
We don't watch the news in our house because we just don't want to feed into the negativity of it.
That's right.
Yeah, I like, and I think that's really important for people to know is like, be mindful and choose what you consume.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to
Especially first thing in the morning.
Yeah, 100%. If I turn on the news and there's some catastrophic doom and gloom going on, I mean, like, how's that going to set the pace for the rest of my day,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And so it's, you know, even when it comes to my social media, like if I see somebody constantly posting negative things or whatever, I just like unfollow or unfriend or whatever I have to do. And it's not me being rude or whatever. It's just like, I'm going to make sure that I'm feeding myself positive information all of the time, so that reflects into the rest of my
Sure.
life.
That's what it's all about. You know, from a clothing perspective, you know, you complimented the gear today. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, it's almost like you get on the golf course, you dress up, you know, you look good, you might play good, you know, and that's kind of how I am too. Kind of don't pick out the outfits before. I just, that morning, it's like how I feel. What kind of day am I going to have today? You know,
I like
I
that.
just had to step it up today for you guys, you know, make your show look good. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, that's what it's all about. It's like you got to start off the day. You got to get your work done early. You got to dress up for the, you know, you got to, you know, look good, right? You got to feel good. And also too, you know, it's funny, one of the tips I always tell my father, you know, my dad, he struggles with weight a little bit. We go back and forth a lot. He's down 50 pounds, by the way.
Awesome.
Wow.
Shout out to my dad, you know,
Heck yeah.
he's doing good. But I always tell him, I say, Dad, throw the old clothes out, get them cut tight. Because if you don't, you can gain a couple pounds and it doesn't matter. If I gain a few, I might have some problems. I might have to go borrow clothes because, you know, 3 or 4 pounds, I'm in trouble. That's for sure. Get the clothes cut tight, throw the old stuff out.
I can relate to this a lot because like I've been, you know, going through this transformations for so many years, and we'll go out and I'll buy like all new clothes. And then because I'm continuously evolving,
Oh, I get so annoyed with him.
myself, it's like 3 months later, I'm like, oh man, I need new clothes again. It's
He
usually
spends all this money on these sports coats and then they don't fit him. And
Take
it's
him
like,
in, get
why
a
do you even bother?
Yeah.
well, the problem is like I'm continuously getting bigger.
Yeah.
So then I can't fit in them.
That's right.
And
Yeah, your
it's
waist
like,
is smaller and your arms are bigger, and these are real problems.
They
fellas,
are first world problems.
Yeah, they're big
for
problems.
sure.
But it's funny because the old pants like my dad has. It's like the big. Hey, look at I used to wear these, right? I mean, he could climb in and out of them right now, but he keeps them around. And I said, Dad, just get rid of them. You don't need those things around you. But it's funny because with clothing, it's almost like that shirt that we all love that fits us better, even though we have a ton of other ones. Or that one favorite pair of jeans. Do you guys have the favorite pair
I
of
have
jeans?
so many jeans,
favorite?
and it's like I wear 3 pairs of them.
I know. You go right to the top and go, I want the same pair.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's funny because sometimes you just got to throw it down.
For sure.
Throw them on the bed, throw the coat on the bed, and just have some fun with it,
Heck yeah.
Shows your personality.
So what drew you to getting into real estate? Like what was it? Were you just always passionate about, something like, I would love to hear your story,
Yeah.
man.
It's funny because as a kid, my parents would go to open houses. Do you take your kids to open houses, by the way? Have you done that whole
I
thing?
remember doing that as a kid, but I don't think we've ever taken. Well, when we were house shopping, 3 years ago, but he was a little baby. So
Yeah. It's not fun to do that. And as a kid, my parents would take us to open houses. This is prior to, I'll be 50. So this is in like the 80s. We didn't have iPads. We didn't have social media, YouTube. We couldn't get on Minecraft or Roblox or anything like that. We had G.I. Joe guys, Hulkamania, Hulk wrestlers in the back. You were playing in the back window with our guys for hours while my parents went into open houses. And I thought, this is the most boring thing ever. Open houses are crazy. So real estate.
I think it was fun. I don't know.
Yeah. Me and my brother would probably cause havoc in the car.
I think little girls and little boys are different.
You guys played good. See, we used to poke holes. The back dash of the old cars, the sun would beat on the speakers, and you could push your fingers through the mesh.
I remember that.
And I would do that. And my parents would come
You guys
back
were
and
just
see
troublemakers.
8 new holes in the back winch in the back mesh, and they would go, "Hey, what are you doing?" But I never thought real estate was ever a thing. And I moved here, and I was in the clothing business for a little bit, and then I got a job at Walgreens, and then I had a few different careers. Enterprise is kind of what got me into real estate. So I worked there, killed myself there. I mean, I worked 6, 7 in the morning till 7 at night, washing cars, coming in hot, sweaty, just washed 3 cars. Now I got to rent out 4. I got to get 1 more. It was crazy. So at that time, I started to not love the hours as much. And I learned a lot there. Props to the enterprise people. It was a good career. But then my dad got his license and he said, you should come work with me. And I did. Took me a while. Took me a little bit. But then one morning I woke up and it clicked. And I took the real estate class. I got the real estate class. And I remember it was kind of hard back then. I don't know what it's like now. But it was kind of hard. I little flashcards all over the place, trying to study for it. It was kind of a hard test. And I got my license, and the rest was history, I kind of took some of my just normal everyday skills, handshakes, things that I learned in life, handshakes, looking people in the eyes, talking to people, dealing with problems. 'Cause enterprise, I'd have problems, and I'd have to, deal with them. And then it all clicked. A bunch of my own business cards in my pocket, walking around, meeting people. And at that time, the population was about 1,000 in Estero. So when I started, there was nothing to sell. It was farmland, new developments. There was nothing around. And I kind of learned each development as they came up. New development, new development. So I learned every single development in Southwest Florida. And that's something that new agents should do, is go out there and learn your product. Learn what's out there. How are you going to sell something if you don't know what it is?
Yeah.
Get out,
Yeah.
What do you think sets apart an average mediocre realtor versus more of a high-end luxury realtor like what you do?
It's the brand, it's the name, how many sales you've sold, relationships, how many referrals you get, how many sellers you have in your left pocket, and how many buyers you have in your right pocket, and how many times you can make a deal happen very quickly. I've probably sold I don't know, but I would say over maybe 3,000 homes. I'd probably say at least half of them I've sold in minutes without ever even put a sign in the yard. Like literally a seller calls me and I have a buyer already for that property. I've done that at least 1,500 times. Wow. So it's just having those names of people and staying organized, because it's like, if Charles, you tell me you're looking for a property, you guys want to upsize, Christina, and you say, hey, we're looking. How much time do you have afterwards? I got 3 new listings coming up. No, but you gotta stay organized, because if you said you're looking for something, you almost have to say, hey, Siri, remind me to call Charles and Christina. They're looking for a home. And you got to keep organized, because if you don't, you're going to have people think you're not doing anything for them because you're not reaching out to them. So it's about staying organized. Organized chaos.
Yeah, I like that. No, organization is so important.
Even if it's on a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks napkin in your car, in the back. You got to get it on paper quickly, and you got to, put that information into your website or do whatever. But it's fun.
One thing I hear you talk about sometimes, and I admire, and I really do my best to implement this into my own personal life, is that you keep good friendships and relationships with people that would be looked at as the competition, you know, and I think that that's a really good trait to have, just because you never know who's going to be able to help you, who might, refer you some business, or and you don't want to burn any bridges ever. Yeah. What's your take on why do you have that philosophy?
Maybe my wiring, when they wired me, God wired me or something. Maybe they said, we're going to switch a couple wires on this guy right here. No, but it's just the way I was sort of raised. There's no reason why you should not get along with your competition. I remember a seller telling me a couple of years back, the reason why they hired me is because I talked good about my competition, and the other people kind of badmouthed me, a little bit, and that I said good things about them. And there's something to be said about that, I guess. It's just, hey, we all offer different things. We're all kind of good at what we do. There's agents out there that are better at certain things than I am, and I'm better at certain things than they are. But all in all, it's about just working with your competition, because they might have a buyer for me, and they may have some things that work for them, and we're not afraid to share those things, because a lot of times people, they can't hit the gas. They have all these thoughts going, but they can't hit the gas to do them right away. I'm kind of wired a little bit differently there. I like to just get it done, because it's brain fog. It's things you have to think about.
Procrastination is the killer of dreams.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to watch a show over. I'm going to make that a quote from my but it really is, because people can overthink so many things, and just, should I do this? Should I do this? Yeah, just do it. Do it now. Start now. Don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till January 1st. Do it now.
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes with procrastination, and then people thinking that they're scared to fail.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I've learned, just acting, and even if you do fail at something, don't look at it as a failure, just look at it as a lesson. I mean, how are you going to ever grow or evolve if you don't put yourself out there and take that leap, and maybe land on your face, but pick yourself back up, take the lesson from it, and keep moving forward,
That's right. There's a little poster on my son's wall. It's of Babe Ruth, an old, really cool picture. Kind of gives you the chills. But, it says, don't let the fear of striking out take away your love of the game, which is kind of a good saying, right? Because that's life. You look at that saying, and it's not really about baseball. It is, because it's got Babe Ruth there. But, that I could put a picture of you on there, and I could change that up a little bit. And it's the same thing, or you, Christina. Mm-hmm. It's about life, You can't be afraid to fail. Yeah. And some of these things don't work right away. Marketing doesn't work right away. Billboards, people don't really call me off at billboards or commercials. I could send 1,000 postcards out to one home, and when they're ready to sell, they may not have my postcard in front of them. So somebody else might get the listing. It's like an AC company, right? I send out 1 million postcards, and then one day your AC breaks, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to call, hey, this one here, I'm going to call Advantage, whatever company's out there. So it's amazing. You just have to
It's just brand recognition.
Yeah.
I like
facial recognition now.
You know what though?
That's right.
See, another play on how they're working probably too is you have the person that had the intention of doing something with you, right?
Yeah.
They're like, the seed's been planted already, and then they get busy with life, and then they forget about something, or they get distracted or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're driving down the road one day, and they take a look up, and they're like, "Oh man, Joe, I got to contact him. I was supposed to get a hold of him."
Yeah.
And so like, there's so many ways that could probably be really beneficial for business.
100%. It's kind of worked against me a little bit in a sense, not against me, but a couple years back, somebody from my team said that a few people they've spoke to said, I don't know if I want to call Joe. He might be too expensive, or he's got billboards, or maybe he's just got a suit on and stuff, that he's not going to want to work with me. So that has created some issues for me. And that's why my branding, I try to be just more of a normal Joe. Like, you can call me no matter what price point, no matter what house. I don't specialize in high end or low end. I specialize in anything, really. Like, my listings are from downtown Fort Myers in a condo overlooking the Caloosahatchee to Naples, in old Naples. And I have horse ranches and vacant land and commercial buildings and regular homes and bigger
Something
homes.
for
and
everyone.
golf community. It is, yeah. It's like a sort of a Baskin and Robbins of listings, really. I mean, there's one in there for everybody, for sure.
I think that's fantastic. I think it's important to serve everybody that needs to be served.
And that's why, I do a little bit more, a lot more on social media. I was trying to be humble and saying a little bit on social media. But, we do all get a little crazy with social media. But it's about telling your story, and it's about being normal. It's like, I heard that my assistant mentioned that to me, and I said, I don't want that. Like, I don't want people to think I only will work with them, or I'm more expensive or anything. I mean, anybody can have a billboard if they want to. They just got to have them up there. I've had them up for a long time, like probably 15 years. I've had billboards up. And that's what it's all about. It's almost like nobody really recognizes you until, a few years later, where they keep seeing you. Mm-hmm. They keep seeing you. It's just like a reminder, like you said, It's like, oh, I got to call Joe. And they do. But,
I love putting yourself out there too, because then people also get to witness the evolution of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, even when we were starting our company, like, the way we were presenting ourselves was completely, it evolved.
Yeah.
And, and so it's like, now people, they see from where we started to like where we're at now.
Well, some people.
Well, some
people are like, oh, overnight success.
Yeah.
We got one.
They don't know the struggles and the grind and everything.
We got one of those recently, and it was just like, I've watched you climb so quickly in such a short period of time. And it's like, are you like, you have no, like, you missed the last 5 years of working 7 days a week, and even like on little vacations that we took, being on our computer and phones the whole time, and all the hoops that we had to jump through and everything.
But we don't put all that out there, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's because like, everybody just wants to see the positive things. Nobody wants to see the painful stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the fun of the show for me, is because, it's like, you get to learn something about someone, right? Like me and you sitting down. It's like when you go through a show with someone like that, it's like you just feel like you're even closer. It's like we went through a good, deep conversation together. And it's like a lot of the people that come on the show, it's like you could take a success, but you want to break it down and find out how they got there. Yeah. And you can learn some really cool things if you just listen and ask questions. You don't learn by talking, right? And that's just fun for me. It's like, an hour of golf or 4 hours of golf, one round, I could get 4 shows in.
Yeah.
And it's so much funner doing that.
Heck yeah.
I hate golf is, we're going to golf someday, me and you. We're going to have some fun, but
for sure.
But it's fun.
He's more of a top golf kind of guy right now.
Yeah.
So
he's good at it. I'm really bad at top golf. I am not good at golf. It's comical.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like going out and hitting the balls more than,
Yeah.
Like
Top golf is pretty fun.
Yeah.
When I was out with the kids, we went to Top Golf for Jake's birthday. And I was like, remember the show, what was it? How to Be I Want to Be a Millionaire, or whatever it was. What was the name of that show? With the questions, and you could.
What is that?
Yeah. What was that? With Regis Feldman.
Feldman. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
There it is.
So, you had the lifeline, right, where you can call in. You can call somebody you think might know the answer. I was at Top Golf, and I was their lifeline, the kids' lifeline. All right, I'm calling in Joe to hit a shot. And the kids would call me in to see if I can drain a 175-foot shot into the circle. It's fun. I got to tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
It ain't fun getting in there, though.
No.
getting in that place.
No.
It's that little corner is pretty. It's a lot of traffic coming in and out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get in there easier, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think a helicopter might be the easiest way to just drop me down in there.
Heck yeah.
I think it would be fun to like ride around in that golf cart and see how many times your golf cart gets hit. It's kind of scary, but it sounds fun.
It's with Tesla, all that's right there. It's just crazy.
We watched somebody hit it over the net last time.
Did you
we were
really?
there. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have distance like that yet.
They were supposed to only have 3 floors. Usually Top Golf has 1, 2, and 3. You get that third level. And they didn't let them do it there. They can only do 2 levels, which is interesting.
That is.
Well, isn't there some sort of ordinance? I know at least in Naples, you can't build over a certain height,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Like you can't have billboards in Naples.
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. If you hear of any coming up, let me know. I'm in the mood for a Naples billboard.
Yeah, for sure. So when we were on the show together, you had mentioned something that I didn't know this about you, and I'd love to learn some about. Is that so? You practice martial arts?
Yes.
So tell me about.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were younger, we all get inspired by watching Karate Kid, and Thunder Lips, Hulk Hogan when he fought Rocky and stuff. You want to be, that was a cool movie growing up. And I remember as a kid, I never got into martial arts, and I always wanted to learn something. So when I got into high school, I started to box, and I was fairly good at boxing. I enjoyed boxing, but then I wanted to know a little bit more. This is before martial arts. Really, not everybody was wearing the shirts, the MMA shirts, Affliction shirts.
Yeah.
So I met a friend of mine in college, and he was a kind of a small guy compared to me. And I remember I felt like he knew something. I just felt like this guy had a certain confidence about him that he was kind of a little tougher than I may have thought he was. So one day I was joking around with him, and I grabbed his back. Like, hey, man, what's up? And I remember he grabbed my hand, and he peeled it off of me and kind of had me in this weird spot quickly, like real quick. And I said, where'd you learn that from? And he's like, I just learned it was an old friend that taught me. And I said, you know something, don't you? So he started telling me about this art that he knows, and it's called Kung Tao. It's Indonesian Kung Fu, combat Kung Fu. So he says, let me bring you in there. He says, my teacher might not let you come in because he's very selective, but I want to introduce you. So I went in there, and the rest was history. I learned how to do this art, and I sort of put I go a little crazy with things. I go like martial arts was like baseball, was like real estate. It was like skateboarding and BMXing. I got kind of crazy with giving it my all. And then I kind of got pretty good at it. And then about 10 years after, my instructor died. And then we took over the school, me and my friend Chris. And we started teaching students. We kept it alive for a very long time.
Wow, that's
it was
incredible,
fun.
Man.
And we did do, and I think I talked a little bit about Tai Chi, meditation, breathing, diaphragmatic residual breathing through your stomach and things like that. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Should have added that to your bio.
I should have. Yeah. I didn't want to scare it. I didn't want anybody to think I'd beat him up if they didn't call me.
He's too humble.
You don't buy the house from him. Oh, watch out.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun, and I would say that I don't train as much as I used to, but I still know it all, and I like to teach tricks and stuff to some people, and my brother and his kids and my sons, my youngest son, even though they're getting strong, I got them.
I would love to put our son into something like that just because of the discipline that goes along with it and the amount of control that you need to have. I think it's really important for kids to learn, especially these days, because I don't feel like they have any outlet to let go of, I don't know, anything that's eating them inside their anger and how to make it a healthy transmission of those feelings.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you feel like it's like when you work at the gym. I mean, you do try to focus on your muscles and stuff, but it's almost like when you're pushing, it's almost like you're pushing out that mean buyer.
Yeah.
That mean seller. I'm kidding.
We were at a T-ball game.
But it does help you get over some stress. Martial arts is the same way with martial arts.
We were at a T-ball game, and there was 2 little boys that ended up having a little squabble.
Yeah.
And one of them, I guess, was in martial arts. And the mom was really scared because she was like, I just didn't want him to beat him up because he knows how to fight.
He knows how to do something. Yeah.
5 years old.
Oh.
I think it's good. I think it's necessary to have these kind of outlets though to decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You're
know,
right.
it's like this is when people have these like explosive episodes or whatever because they're not letting the steam out every
Yeah.
once in a
Yeah.
while. I mean, like I do it in the gym. I lift the weights. It seems like you have all of your kind of practices that
Yeah.
you're doing, and
It all comes down to meditation too at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It puts you in a very meditative state. A lot of people just think that meditation is sitting there and with your eyes closed, but it's not. It can be going to the gym and focusing on the movement that you're making or doing
Yeah.
martial arts. Like
That's
it's
right.
It's all meditation.
You're right. That's why I asked Charles in the show. I said, tell me about the meditation, because there is so many different ways.
yeah.
Yours is closing your eyes, being grateful, breathing, right?
That
That's-
and like I actually look at me training like when I'm lifting weights, I'm in a meditative state.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always just going. I'm focusing on my breathing. All of the chatter kind of shuts down.
Yeah.
And so it's like I look at working out as a meditation
Yeah.
for me as well. It's
Yeah,
pretty
that's right.
awesome.
You know, I took Jake into and Joey into training grounds, martial arts, MMA school, really good family. Maybe talk to them about, bringing your guy in there. But I thought that it might be a little bit more intimidating. I'm thinking, these kids are just now beginning to want to do martial arts. I'm thinking that people are going to be killing each other in the ring, right? And it's going to be hard to get them in this.
Fight Club.
But it's not that way. Yeah, that's what I thought of it as.
For
but
kids.
because our school, when we would train, was different. I mean, you would hear us hitting each other in there. You would not want to go in there. The schools now, the way they train these kids it's like they have them in different little categories of how good they are, and they have the kids train together, the young kids, the kids that are a little bit better, and then they mix them up, and it's fun. It's really a good time.
That's fantastic. So we've heard about the business life and what you do to stay healthy and on point or whatever. I would love to hear about Joe Pavich, the family man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
how do you manage that work-life balance?
It's not easy. It really isn't. And, you do everything you can do. You try to be there. My kids are at the age now. Joey's 14, Jules 12, and Jake's 10. There is always that little bit of guilt, that parent guilt, a little bit. I should be doing a little bit more, but it's hard because, like my son now, he's tall, plays baseball. The girls, he's got this girl. So it's like sometimes we sort of, I feel like I share time, and it's a little bit harder now. I was talking to my friend John last night about it. It's hard because you want their time, right? But he's having fun, and he loves talking to his girlfriend, and it's hard because you want to be there, right? You want to be in the moment every time. You want to be off your phones, but sometimes they're on their phones more and they're on their iPads and stuff. So it is harder today than it used to be for sure, but it just takes more effort. Sometimes we have dinner and I say, all right, iPads down, or we go to a movie. We're not bringing our phones in. It's hard to do that, but work-life mix is good. I'm a baseball coach starting this week, baseball. So Coach Joe,
Amazing.
Coach Joe, Christina.
Look
So-
at
Oh,
you.
you
gotta-
were in T-ball still.
Look at you. Like you do so much.
You do.
I love that, man. I think that's like you're
Because he wakes up at 5.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but just like
I was just
between
telling Charles you should start waking up at 5.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could sort of live longer, right? Because you're seeing more of the day, I guess, right? So
For
one
sure.
way to live longer is to wake up earlier, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That is
But-
a good life hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, being busy, because sometimes I think some of my biggest struggles is that when I'm home, I could really be in the office, but I'm home because I want to be with them. And sometimes my phone rings and sometimes I am on the phone a little bit longer, but it's not going to be when my kids are up to bat. It's not going to be during a volleyball game for Jules. I try to kind of, manage my time. A lot of clients that I've worked with for a long time, they don't want to take away from that time, which is kind of cool. When I was younger, I was afraid it would mess up my game a little bit in real estate, that I would want to spend time with the family. Now they're like, hey, Joe, eat dinner with the family, call me back later, which is
Yeah.
good.
That's fantastic. People are more understanding. I've noticed that about some of the partners that we have on a couple of things that we're working with. They're like, just remember, spend time with your son. If you,
That's right.
If we're doing something or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, call back. And I think that's definitely a different perspective than the way that it used to be.
Yeah.
Where people were, listen, like we're both, all three, like incredibly overdriven people. Like we're just, our drive is crazy.
Yeah.
But being able to make sure that we take that time to spend time with the people that we love when it's needed, so we don't have the regrets of not doing it.
That's right. No regrets.
Yeah. Because I think that that's really positive for productivity.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like I don't have to feel guilty about not doing that, which isn't going to make me think about how guilty I feel about that while I'm supposed to be doing something I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have 3 kids, it's like, you want to give them each 100%, right? Wife, 100%. You want to give them all 100%, right? So you do, but there's always that in the back of your mind. I wonder if I'm doing enough. Could I be doing more? That's things that probably one of my struggles. I as a parent, man, it's real.
Hey, I understand. Listen, Charlie's 5.5, and I get the put your phone down lectures from him sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. And I make sure I put it away. But like,
Well, Charles has this thing where like if he's on his phone, he's in the zone and he can't hear or see anything else.
Yes.
And Charlie will be asking him for something and he's just like, he's just a body, like a standing there like this. And so, Charlie might get that from me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. We all do that sometimes. Dad, you're on your phone. I'm like, man, listen, I got to pick out five time slots for Charles Patti. I'm trying to pick out no, I'm just kidding. I'm going through my segment trying to get reels. No, but I mean, I'm just joking, but it's like I'm talking to a seller and I'm thinking in my mind, like, I got to do this now because the offer expires in 30 minutes and I got to get it signed. So some of these things are important,
Yeah.
But it's a grind.
For sure.
Hence the shows, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
So you obviously are a big fan of baseball.
Yeah.
What's your team?
Cubs.
Cubs?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I was going to say, that's tough.
I know it is.
Not saying anything bad, but that's tough, man.
The Cubs hats, people would wear them after that World Series. They all had Cubs hats on. It's like, nobody, wear them before that because they were losers for a long time, but fun to watch. I mean, I remember going to games with friends at Wrigley Field growing up and stuff, and we do go back.
I remember I was a kid and Sandberg played for me and everybody. Ryan Sandberg.
Yeah.
Good Cubs player.
Oh, yeah. Rhino.
The Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So I'll tell you a good story. Want to hear a good baseball story? So my best friend John, he was a sort of a personality, TV personality in Chicago, and he did sports for a college, and everybody knew him. And I was coming in town. I was probably 21, 22 years old. I said, I'm coming in town next weekend, Friday through Monday. I want to hang with you. He says, I'm working. I said, not when I'm coming down. You're going to have to tell him something because I want to hang out with you. So he tells his work that he's not feeling the greatest. So he doesn't go to work Friday. So it's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We get him off of work. We go downtown. We're at the Cubs game. We're bar hopping around Wrigley Field. We're doing the whole thing. Never forget, 7th inning, we're in the outfield in right field. Sammy Sosa and McGuire were having that year where they were going back and forth, 50, 60, whatever their home runs were. Yeah. We look up in the air and a ball's coming towards us. And I'll never forget, we put our hands up, boom, boom, catch the ball. We're fighting down below for the ball. The guy behind us goes, yeah, and we're jumping up and down. John goes into work the next day, and it's blown up on the screen, picture of him on the screen. He didn't get in trouble. They laughed. But they said, hey, John, this is you. He said, looks just like me. He goes, no, that's you, and that's your cousin Joey. How was the game? It was kind of funny. But
so when I was a kid, I used to go to the Minnesota Twins spring training in Fort Myers all the time. And my mom had season tickets. I ended up being bat boy for like the visiting team a lot of the time, which was great because I got to go under the stadium and in the dugout, and I just bring a big bag of baseballs with me and cards and get everything autographed and stuff. Also got a lot of game used broken bats. But as a part of this, I ended up not going to school a decent amount of time when spring training days were happening because I'd be going to the game. Yeah. Of course, Mom was calling me in sick a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
The thing was, though, is that our seats were in the front row, right down the first baseline. And so there was a couple times when the news was on, that night when I had been called in from school or whatever because I was sick. And then my teacher sees me the next day and they're like, "So, how was the game yesterday?" Because they'd see me on TV. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you keep all this, like, do you still have the bats and the cards and everything?
Unfortunately,
Sore subject.
it's a sore subject,
Yeah.
but no, I had to end up selling it.
Did you?
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, it's tough to keep those things. You know, I remember when like my parents or like their parents were kids and they would get like the old cards, right? Mickey Mantle rookie cards or a Babe Ruth card, whatever it was. Honus Wagner card, most expensive baseball card there.
$50
Yeah.
one just sold for.
And they would take them, and they weren't. It wasn't all about keeping them in good shape. You throw them in a drawer. They used to tape them to the clothespin, whatever, to their spokes, to where they would make those noises, you know, brrr, as they're riding through. And it's funny because the care of those old baseball cards, people weren't taking the greatest care of them. You know, that's why if you have an old card like a Mickey Mantle, it could be rated at a 6 versus a 10 now.
Yeah.
But they didn't take care of those things.
Yeah, no, I find it. So I'm getting Charlie into this stuff. It's a sore subject because, listen, I'll just put it out there. When I was doing all of this stuff, my mom ended up getting married to my first stepdad, the one that ended up drinking.
Oh, yeah,
I talked on your show or whatever. And he's not around anymore. He ended up dying from, pancreatic cancer or whatever. But they got divorced, and he took my mom for a lot of money. And so the thing is that I ended up having to sell my entire collection to help pay for the divorce.
Oh,
so
wow.
It is a sore subject.
Yeah.
And I had a beautiful collection. I mean, I had so many game used bats, and I had a Frank Thomas no-name Topps rookie card, and like all kinds of stuff, mantle cards.
The Big Hurt. That was the Big Hurt.
Yeah, for sure. He just passed recently.
Did he really?
I'm pretty sure. I think I remember hearing something about that, which is really sad. He was amazing. But
the old collectible stuff though is
You were
pretty
getting
cool.
Charlie.
Oh
into
yeah,
what
but
you were saying.
I'm getting Charlie into the card game now, and he's really into Pokemon more than he is into baseball or whatever. But like, I bought him like a expensive Pokemon card for Christmas, but it was a PSA 10.
Oh, nice.
And so it's
Charizard.
Charizard. You got a Charizard card. But the thing is that I think like getting into it again now, I'm really just gonna focus on collecting all the 10s.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you look at the price difference, even just from like an 8 to a 9 or a 9, and then the 10. The 10s are the ones that are really gonna, gain this momentum of accumulating more and more worth over the years, I think.
Yeah, because somebody was telling me recently that Mickey Mantle 7 is, you could buy it for $3 or $4 grand. A Mickey Mantle 10 would go for, several $1 million. It's
Wow.
the difference of just something you or I would never
I don't
even notice.
understand any of this stuff.
Yeah,
So
so
gotta
even
get-
like
no,
the,
we got-
the Jordan rookie cards. So like a Jordan rookie card 10 is worth over $100,000.
Is it?
It's crazy. But then you got ones that are like, 6s or whatever, and they're worth a few grand.
We got to do something next show with us. We'd have to give Christina like an 8 and a 10 and see if she could tell the difference between a PSA.
I've looked and I'm like, what's wrong with this card? We have an 8 of something. And I was like, why is this only an 8? It doesn't seem like it should be an 8. I don't see any scratches on it. I don't get why.
Yeah, they would be. It would look like it'd be the same.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there would be that one family member that comes in and says, Joe, I didn't tell you about this until we wanted to wait till you're 50. We have a Honus Wagner card that was given to us when we were kids. Wouldn't it be a cool thing?
Oh my gosh. So you know what the story behind the Honus Wagner card is and why it's so expensive? The Honus Wagner card came out it was a cigarette pack card, okay? So like back in, in the early 1900s, they used to stick baseball cards in packs of cigarettes. And Honus Wagner made the company discontinue his card because he didn't want children smoking cigarettes in order to get his baseball cards. So they discontinued his card in that, they weren't putting in his packed cigarettes anymore. So the amount of cards that went out was like super limited. And the one I was just talking about, I think it literally was, it was either in like the 30 millions to the 50 million mark, but the one that they just found and ended up, the guy, they wanted him to auction it, but he was holding on to it. it's the most pristine Honus Wagner card that's ever
Wow.
been found. I remember like Wayne Gretzky and some other guy owned one when I was growing up as a kid, and it was worth like 8 or 9 million for that one back then. But like, you know, it's crazy that a baseball card is worth like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
double, like
Piece of cardboard paper.
Yeah.
8-figure baseball cards. It's incredible, man.
Collectible stuff.
Yeah.
I'm starting to collect more stuff, you know.
Heck yeah.
But nothing's worth anything today, right? At this moment, right? A player, whatever it is, it's down the road.
Yeah.
20, 30 years. It's like you want to save everything when you're a kid, but you can't. My
Yeah.
parents,
Beanie Babies.
my parents saved.
Can you believe Beanie Babies had made
Yeah,
so
that's
much
right.
money? I had so many of those and like probably just threw them out.
Are they still worth anything today?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some are worth thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of dollars. One of my friends, who's actually one of our attorneys, Dustin Robinson, just represented the guy who was fighting over the 50-50 ball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I know they came to that thing auctioned off for like $4 million or something. I think, if I'm not mistaken, some crazy amount of
Jeez.
number. It's awesome. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So listen, Joe, if I had to ask you, because this has been a great show, but we're going to be coming up to the end of it.
Yeah.
If I was going to be, if you had a message like that you wanted to give the world, what would it be, man?
That's a good question, Charles. I got to tell you.
Hot seat question.
Hot seat question. You know, the message would be that, you know, it's not the prize at the end, right? Because there is no prize. You don't get a congratulations, you know, Joe did it. There is no one that knows what you do except for you. You know, you have to do whatever you're going to do, whatever goal that is, and set that for yourself. And it's not even the way you bust through the finish line, because there really probably never is a finish line, right? Yeah. It's the process. It's all the things you go through to get to the finish line. It's the journey. It's the struggles. It's the process. That's the fun time. That's why I can always tell people to be in the moment, enjoy what you're doing today. Because when you get there, there's no one rooting. There's no one happy for. I mean, people will be happy for you, of course, but you have to find the happiness within yourself. And if you get to the end and you feel like you did it, you probably did it wrong. It's all about feeling like you got to keep pushing day by day, right? Yeah. It's not about getting to the finish line. Even like if you retire at a certain point, there's got to be a drive after that, just to live longer. You know what I mean? Just to find the space in your head, the clear mind to just keep doing things you love to do. It's like whenever that day is when I stop selling real estate, and I don't know when that's going to be, there are things I want to do. And it's not going to be golfing all day, that's for sure. So it's enjoy the ride.
I love that. Wise words from Joe
That is.
Pavich.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
if you wake up at 5 a.m., you live longer.
That's right.
Another one.
Mic drop.
Boom.
I love it.
All right. Well, you want to take us out?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for being on our show today.
Thank you.
And if nobody's told you that they love you lately,
We do.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, guys. I love you guys.
All right.
Been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.